Hello, everyone, and a very, very good evening to all of you. Thank you so much for joining. Just going to give it a few seconds for everybody to kind of come in and settle down. Welcome to today's Agents Meet. We have agents and counsellors joining us from India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka and Nepal. So thank you everybody for making the time for this. We're really, really happy to have you. I think it's been about a few months since we've all met, and we like to do these at least once every quarter. And this one's going to be a little bit special. We're going to introduce you to some very important stakeholders for us now, and I'm looking forward to this one. And let's see, I think we've got most people coming in now. Okay, great. Let me kick off. My name is Athray Guhatakota. I work out of the India office and I lead on mobility for the British Council in India and South Asia. Most of you know me. I'm pretty sure I've met most of you, so welcome to this session. We have another familiar face with us, Robert Qadhi, Rob Qadhi to all of us, Vice Chair of BUILA, which is British Universities International Liaison Association, something that all of you are familiar with, and Rob's going to give us the sectoral update, basically what are UK universities planning, what are the latest rules, what is the thinking on the ground in the UK, just so you are able to advise your students better and you're more kind of informed and well informed with the absolute latest, that's going to help you when you advise students. And very, very happy to introduce to you and welcome Amy Wheeler from UKVI. Amy is External Relations for Visas and Citizenship at UKVI, and Amy is going to be our lead for India now. Amy, thank you so much for joining us and welcome to the region. Welcome to South Asia, and we are absolutely delighted to have you. And I'm so we're very, very happy to have you. And we really wanted to introduce Amy to everybody, to agents and counsellors across the region, because we are all going to work very, very closely with Amy. And of course, most of you know Divya already, and Divya has joined us as well. Divya leads on visas as well in India, and she works out of Delhi. And Amy's in London, but Amy's promised us a visit very soon. So we look forward to that. Great. I think just very quickly on the session today, some of you have sent some questions through. We've taken note of that. I think that's going to be pretty much covered in the two updates we're going to get from BUILA and UKVI. However, if it's not covered, if any question that you have is not already mentioned in the presentation, feel free to put that question into the Q&A box. There's a small bubble on your screen with a question mark. That's the Q&A box. So I would recommend that you first listen to the two updates. We're going to start with the BUILA update, and then we're going to go on to the UKVI update. Once the two updates are done, if you feel there are questions that you still need more clarity for, please put those questions in. What I would also recommend is, because we're not, a massive group here, I think we have around 200, 250 people here, it would be great if you like the questions that kind of reflect your own questions, instead of repeating the same question many times. Just like a question if it's already been asked that you wondered about as well. And if you have a new question, absolutely, please do put that in. And I'll be moderating a Q&A in the end, and I'll make sure that all your questions are answered by Rob and Amy and by the British Council if we can help. If there are questions that we can't provide answers to, we will come back to you on that, and we will make sure that we send you an email with the latest information. Great. So on that note, there are some other announcements which I'll make later on about certain events we're having in the region that I think will be useful for your students to know about, but we'll come to that later. On that note, I'm going to request Rob to share your screen, Rob, and we can kick off with the BUILA update, which is basically the UK sector update.
Excellent. So hopefully you can see me, hear me, and also see the slide deck, which
Brilliant.
means that we're probably going in the right direction, which is good. So good afternoon, everybody, and thanks, Athray, for the introduction. It's great to see you all virtually, and it's probably a little bit too late for me to say Happy New Year now that we're actually into February. And obviously it's Chinese New Year today as well. So yeah, an auspicious day, but it's great to be here. It's great to have the opportunity just to give you that update about where we are on the ground in the UK. what's happening, what our current focus is, what our future plans look like, and really try to cover off as much as we can so that you've got all of the information you need to go and support your students in the right way and engage with with the universities who you contract with as effectively as possible. So as Adri says, I'm the Vice Chair of BUILA. I'm also the International Director at Northumbria University up in the northeast of England. So and it's fair to say I haven't been out to India for well over 2 years now, so I do feel like I'm overdue a visit. Similarly with Sri Lanka, so yeah, some time in South Asia would be good, but currently that's not on the agenda. But we're really pleased that the students are coming across. So I think really just to kick off in terms of why the UK remains a really fantastic opportunity for you and for the students. We've had a really successful autumn intake. And the spring intakes that we have, not every university has a spring intake, but for those of us that do, it's been a very positive experience. We've found that the student demand's been very high. We've found that the quality has been really good. The cooperation with our colleagues at the Home Office in UKVI has been very, very strong, which means that I don't think we've seen kind of challenges or issues around timings and things like that. So we're really pleased that the intakes seem to have gone very well. The UK continues to have all of those things that are really important. So, very high quality teaching, research, knowledge exchange, a lot of expertise in the UK. So all of those things that have always been there remain there. So UK being a high quality destination with a huge breadth, so different types of universities, different types of courses, specialism. So we always pride ourselves that whatever type of university, whatever type of course you're looking for, you should be able to find that in the UK, and with the underpinning piece that says it's always going to be a really high quality piece. We are and continue to be very, very global in our outlook in terms of making sure that we've got our student network set up. We are engaging with 150 plus countries. So students coming to the UK get a UK degree, they get a UK experience, but they also get that international network as well, which we know is very, very important. And I'll say a little bit more later on, but it's always about that value add, the degree, the masters, the PhD, whatever it is that students are coming across to study for. We try to make sure there is always that value add, whether it's about finding part-time work, whether it's about an internship, whether it's about staying on to work after you complete. We've got all of those options open, and I'll say a little bit more about the graduate route, and I'm sure that Amy will give us some more of the detail there as well. But the graduate route is a fantastic opportunity, and we know that we're seeing from our South Asian students a real kind of desire to explore that route. So very, very pleased about that. Throughout the last couple of years, the two things that we've always held really true to is student safety and quality of teaching. So, I'll talk on both of those things, but from a safety perspective, the UK has followed its own path in terms of trying to remain open, trying to make sure we can deliver as much face-to-face as possible. And that's been delivered on the basis that we have a very, very successful vaccination programme. So some data there, we're looking at almost 3/4 of the population fully vaccinated, 64% having the third dose. And so what we've seen obviously over the last couple of months is some very high case rates in terms of COVID infections, but without that corresponding increase in hospitalizations. And so the Omicron variant does seem to have been a much lower impact. My son had it a couple of weeks ago. He had a bit of a cold. None of the rest of us in the house got it. He's absolutely fine. So the UK is living with COVID, and what that means is that we have fantastic opportunities for students to get vaccinated if they need to. You don't need to be fully vaccinated to come to the UK. We do offer the vaccine to you, but there's lots and lots of information on certainly from an English perspective, england.nhs.uk, gov.uk website as well. We'll share the presentation, but you can get those links, and it tells you exactly what you need to have, what position it means, depending on what type of vaccination you've had, and that impacts on the amount of time that you would need to whether you'd need to isolate on arrival and those types of things. So the safety piece is something we would really stress, that we are a very safe destination. Where are we right now? government guidance continues to change, and we always try to make sure that we follow that government guidance as closely as we can. At Northumbria at the moment, so we're in England, up in the north of England, we are teaching face-to-face. So we have our January intake, which started last week, and we are on campus. We're delivering face-to-face. People like me continue to work from home because I'm not student-facing, but we are face-to-face. We are continuing to encourage face mask use when you're moving around campus, especially kind of in corridors. But we're in that face-to-face delivery perspective, and actually we're keeping a very close eye on our COVID rates, and they continue to be very, very low. It's worth stressing that sometimes the guidance can vary between England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. So what I would say is the gov.uk website does give you that detail by those 4 countries. But obviously the universities to which you're sending students will give you the latest, depending on where they are. But actually, I think at the moment, a lot of the guidance across the 4 countries is pretty common. I think we've moved away from differences. So the guidance, which is quite relaxed at the moment, I think is common across all 4 countries. So face-to-face delivery, use of masks being encouraged, but there isn't any mandated use. But we advise people to use their own common sense. There is support for students, airport transfers, quarantine support, and so on and so forth. But we're open. We're trying to make sure we remain safe and healthy, but we are very much in that face-to-face delivery piece, which we know is really, really important. I think the fact that we've been able to be flexible over the last couple of years has been great. But we know that students are signing up not for an online program, they're signing up for an on-campus experience, they're signing up for face-to-face delivery. So for us, it's really, really important that we're able to deliver that and deliver it well and deliver it safely. So that's where we are at the moment. What I would always encourage is that you check the latest information depending on when your students are travelling. There's a piece there, red list has gone, which is great. That's not to say it won't come back, but let's just keep an eye on the latest guidance. And again, these links will come round to you, we'll circulate it. And as I've mentioned, make sure that the local regulations by those 4 countries, you're just up to speed on that. We are expecting changes in about a week's time. So basically from the 11th of February, if you're fully vaccinated, you don't need to take a COVID test before or after arrival. So that is a new update, that is new policy, and I think that is for all 4 countries coming into the UK. You'll still need to complete the passenger locator form, but again, UKVI, which is provides fantastic advice for international students. They have a really good website that gives you the latest government guidance, but then translates that into really useful and easily digestible information for you to use with your students. So I would recommend taking a look at that link, which again we'll send round to you. But yeah, so that's good news. So we're just reducing some of those extra hurdles and those barriers if you're coming in fully vaccinated. But as I mentioned, you don't need to be fully vaccinated to come in, and the UK can provide and support jabs, boosters and so on as part of the NHS support through the NHS surcharge that students would have to pay. So again, safety, we're trying to make sure it's as easy as possible for your students to come in and make sure that once they're in, they have the absolute best opportunity to succeed while they're with us. And genuinely, it's been a really successful year. I think lots of universities have seen that across South Asia. So thanks again for your hard work, because that's a joint enterprise. We succeed when you succeed, and we need to make sure we collaborate as effectively as possible. And again, we are obviously, for those of us that have a January intake, that's the focal point at the moment. But most universities are also looking at our September, October entry for 2022. And I think data-wise, things are still looking strong. So let's keep up that hard work. Let's make sure we continue to deliver the students to the right places, the right quality. We want to make sure that that experience is as good as it can be, so that the UK remains top of mind for everybody. We know that places like Australia will start to come back on as they open up again. But I think we're still in a really fantastic position where we're open, we've remained open. We've got a lot of students coming through. We should get some absolutely fantastic feedback. It is as close to a normal on-campus experience as we can really deliver, which I think is really, really important. The fact that we're open, the fact that most hospitality, retail sectors are all open, that does mean that there is a big opportunity around part-time work as well. We always stress that part-time work, whilst it's available, we want students to be studying. That's got to be their number one priority. We do know that students do like the opportunity for part-time work, so I would say that those opportunities do exist, and certainly at the moment, restaurants are open, shops are open, the nightlife sector is very much open, so that does mean that those opportunities do exist. I'll say a little bit about this, and it may well be that Amy's got the much more kind of up-to-date information, but the graduate immigration route we know is fantastic in terms of that opportunity for students to complete their bachelor's, master's, PhD, and then stay on for up to 2 years. So that opened officially on the 1st of July of last year. There is a fee, but the applications, you've got to do that from within the UK, and we're trying to make sure that the deadlines that exist and the fact that students have currently the opportunity to start their studies online, we're trying to make sure we're absolutely clear on that. I mean, from our perspective, our South Asian students, and we've got good numbers of students from places like India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh and Pakistan. For the vast majority of those students, they've come to the UK. It's tended to be students from other countries who've wanted to remain in their home country and take those opportunities to study online. So I don't think it's too much of an issue for your students, but it's just worth being mindful of those dates and the fact that students, in order to apply for the graduate route, they've got to essentially have completed all of their studies and they need to be in the UK. So, but work with your university and to get that latest information. I'm sure that Amy's got some really useful detail to share as well. So I think, as I mentioned, it's a joint endeavour. This, our success and your success are absolutely linked. So how do we make sure that we're providing you the right information to support the students and support the UK universities in what we're trying to achieve? We know there's a lot of interest, and so in that situation, conversion absolutely is key. How do we make sure that we've got the right students, the right interest? How do we make sure that we're really focusing in on genuine students? How do we make sure that we all fully understand exactly what we're asking of our students before they apply, or before they get their CAS, or before they apply for their visa? So make sure that we're supporting them through that journey and really trying to support and encourage students all the way through. We do think the UK's got a fantastic offer. We're on campus. We've got that high quality, the fact that we've got that cutting edge research and innovation culture means that a lot of the vaccine developments that we've seen globally have come out of the UK, and that's fantastic. But we do have that breadth of programs as well. So any disciplinary area that your students are interested in, we should have a really high quality program that we can support them to study on. The graduate and the skilled worker routes, I think, are examples of the UK really opening up, being much more global in its view and welcoming in international students, and that I think can only be a good thing. But making sure that we can provide that reassurance to students, to parents, that we are safe, we are supporting our students. We do make sure that the UK isn't necessarily kind of we're not holding students' hands all the way through. The students that are coming in are adults and have their own responsibilities, but we make sure that it's as easy as possible. We make sure that there is that soft landing for students. We make sure that the welcome events are as effective as possible, the collection from airports by certain universities, things like that, to really just encourage and nurture students in and make sure that they're in and settled and best able to succeed. And I think work with us as well in terms of how we explore those new ways of recruiting. A lot of our recruitment has gone online, and we know that that's great, but we know that students quite often will want a face-to-face experience. And so how do we make sure that we're engaging together most effectively to use the best of both worlds? What digital means can we continue to use? Virtual open days, virtual campus tours and things like that, so that when we need to use our face-to-face activity, we do that most effectively. But also, I think just making sure you keep in touch with your universities so that the latest information you have is the right stuff that you're sharing with the students as well. So work with us, tell us when there's things that you need from us, just make sure it's a really strong two-way dialogue. And I think just lastly, the UK is really trying to drive up those, you know, we have our international education strategy. We have a numerical target in that we want student growth, but we want quality students. So your role around identifying those quality students, providing quality advice and guidance is really, really important. It's worth acknowledging as well that the journey that students go through, we do have to make sure that we get students in that are genuine academic students coming for the right reasons. We work very closely with UKVI to make sure that we identify patterns of behaviour where students are seeing refusals, and we are trying to make sure we've got a really strong feedback loop so that we avoid that. We really want genuine students. We don't want to see any refusals, and we've all got a part to play in that. Home Office and UKVI in terms of the intelligence that they're getting and the patterns that they're seeing, us as universities to make sure that our guidance, our policies are as effective as possible to bring in genuine students, and you as the agents to make sure that your selection criteria, your vetting is absolutely bringing through those genuine students. So making sure that we can bring through the right students in the right numbers is absolutely key for us. And what BUILA does, BUILA is a member organisation. So I work for the university, but with my other hat, I'm vice chair of BUILA, and what we're trying to do is represent the interests of the sector of the universities. And one of the things that we've done over the last year or so is to build up a really extensive knowledge on what we're doing with our agents, and that's leading to a quality framework, because we know that as the numbers coming to the UK increases, there will be more and more scrutiny on how we work with our agents, and making sure that we're doing it as effectively and as high quality as possible. So we will be coming out to you soon with a set of webinars where we're looking to introduce our good practice guide for universities, how we work with agents, and think about our communication to you and our training. So we will be coming out to you with that soon. And I know that some of you have been involved in how we shape that, so I just want to say a big thank you to you for doing that. That's made us made a big difference to us. So yeah, lots going on. We're in a really exciting place in terms of our current student recruitment, the fact that the future recruitment looks really strong. So I think we can all share in that success. But let's not rest on our laurels. Let's continue to work hard. Let's continue to drive through those students. Let's continue to bring in the right students at the right quality, and let's see how we progress with the quality framework. So I think that's all from me, and I think we're going to pass on to Amy now, and I will be around for questions. And I'm just stop sharing this. I think I stopped sharing, and we're on to Amy now.
Lovely, thank you, Rob. That was ever so inspiring. Okay, so I will give you all a quick introduction to myself, as I know this is the first call that I've been on with all of you. So my name is Amy Wheeler. I joined UKVI in December last year, so very new to the job still, and I joined replacing Harry Booty, who I know a lot of you have worked with over the last couple of years and forged really great relationships with, so hopefully we can all do the same over the coming years. Although it is a new job, I moved across from Border Force, so I worked at Border Force for 4 years, and I've got a good knowledge of the immigration system and processing people and different types of visas as people actually come into the UK. So hopefully that experience will be able to help a lot of people firsthand as well. My role within the team now is the communications manager for UKVI. So I help people understand what visas are available to them, be the first point of call for new visa routes, and I'm basically here for any questions that you might have for any visa queries or particular routes. I think sometimes the visas can be full of policy legislations, and you just need a bit of a human touch to be able to make sense of it. So that's my job, along with Divya, who I think a lot of you know as well. As it's been mentioned, I am based in the UK, but I'm desperately trying to come out to the region. Hopefully it won't be long. It just all depends on when restrictions are lifted. So yeah, hopefully as soon as restrictions are lifted slightly, I'll be able to be there and we can hold some actual real life events. So yeah, we will keep you updated with that. I just want to take a bit of time just to give you an update on bit of statistics and the latest updates with the visa routes as well. So we are actually hoping that the 2021 statistics will be out within the next couple of weeks. So although some of you may have received the September statistics, those September statistics run from September 2020 to September 2021. The statistics that we're now waiting for are for January to December. So they might provide a different story for us, but hopefully they'll just continue to show the real growth that we saw within the September results. So the September 2021 statistics shows real growth for the sector across the whole region, and it was unprecedented. So I joined in December and I thought, oh my goodness me, these are huge figures, but I think it was huge for everyone. So just to touch upon those, in India, 90,669 student visas were issued in the last year, so that's September to September, and that is in comparison to just under 45,000 in the previous year, which was 102% increase from 2020, which is absolutely incredible. Again, Bangladesh figures increased to issuing 10,090 student visas, which was a 410% increase. Nepal, 256% increase, and Sri Lanka was 328% increase, which again, we're really hoping that these statistics are just going to keep going up. And I think it just shows, you know, what a fantastic place the UK is and how much people actually do want to come and study in the UK. There was a recent article actually in the Times of India that supported that surge, and it showed some really interesting findings. It was from the Higher Education Statistics Agency, and it showed that for the first year ever, Chinese students at undergraduate and graduate levels enrolled in British universities had actually fallen 5%. But in contrast, the number of new students from India soared by 27%, which was the highest figure on record. And it just shows, you know, that is the way forward. And it's such great figures to see and to be a part of as well. I want to touch on the different routes available, and just, I know probably you know all of this already, but just to touch upon the points-based system that has recently been introduced. So recently as in 2021. The points-based system was just introduced really to ensure that talent from across the world has access to world-leading universities. It just gives a single streamlined approach and system for everybody across the world. It makes people have the same academic and language requirements globally, and there's 3 simple requirements that are needed of people. So under this points-based system, students are required to have 70 points for their application. Those 70 points are made up, so 50 points are made up from an offer from an educational institution, so that's who provides the CAS. There's a further 10 points available for the English language requirement, so that has to be from an approved test provider. And the last 10 points that are made up are from the financial requirements. So to touch upon the financial requirements, the students have to provide evidence that they can pay for the course fees and living expenses. The funds have to be held in the for the at least 28 consecutive days from the online visa payment date. And there's different funds as well and requirements for those living in London and those living in the rest of the UK. Students have to provide money, have to prove that they have the funds, and they can do that by showing cash in a savings account in either their name or their parents or a legal guardian's name. They could either show an unconditional loan in their name, or if they can prove an official financial or government sponsorship or scholarship, that's how they can provide evidence of their funds. So as Rob mentioned, there was one very exciting route that came out last year, and that was the graduate route. The graduate route was opened up on the 1st of July last year, and it's actually been incredibly popular already. It's available to international students who've completed a degree at either undergraduate level or above at a higher education provider, and they've got to have a valid, what was a Tier 4 or student permission at the time of their application. The successful applicants on the route at bachelor's or master's level are able to stay in the UK and work or look for work at any skill level for those 2 years. And there are slightly different rules for those who are doctoral students, and they're able to stay for 3 years. So students who began their course last autumn or early this year will need to be in the UK by the 6th of April 2022, so this year, and to apply for their graduate route. As I said, it's become an incredibly popular route already. I had a quick look actually into how many visas were granted. So I just had a quick look at the Indian applications, and there were actually 4,030 graduate route visas granted to Indian nationals in the 2020 and 2021 statistics. So that's basically from last autumn. And that 4,030 was the most of any nationality. Interestingly, a further 616 graduate route visas were issued to dependents during that same year, showing that the route is such a fantastic option for those with families to consider. And I think those figures for dependents made them come in probably about 5th in the rankings. So it just shows how much the Indian nationals have really embraced this route, and hopefully it's one that will really pave the way for the future as well. There was an article yesterday in the Times of India, and that was with the Chancellor of the University of Birmingham, and he just talked about how the new graduate route really helps attract students to the UK. And it's something that Rob touched on as well, is that, you know, people get to experience this route, but they also experience the academic side of life and also living a student life in the UK. I mean, I studied at Newcastle University, and I would love everybody to share that experience. It's such a fantastic opportunity and experience for people, and being able to have those extra couple of years on top of that graduate route really just helps you, you know, find your feet and pave that way for your future career. I received as well a proposed blog post from somebody who has been a part of the graduate route, and he has got himself a job at a consultancy company. And I just wanted to share all of this with you, because it's not every day that we really get, you know, a lot of people saying how a route has like changed them and affected them, and I just wanted to share it with you. So he actually said within this blog post that a good practice would be to have the graduate route in mind as from the very start and work towards it. So extracurricular activities such as volunteering or summer internships definitely help in securing jobs, but just for people to be aware of it before they even start their undergraduate degrees, and just be mindful that there is this opportunity at the end of their degree that they can really embrace, and that can hopefully shape their studies over the few years. So I thought it was nice, and it's nice to hear about people that, you know, have made a success of that route. And like I said, he's got a job in a consultancy firm, and he's really, really happy, and he's embracing absolutely everything. If anybody does have any questions about the graduate route or any other routes, please just put them in the box. Or get in touch with me. I can pop my details on the chat once all of this is done. But I just wanted to show, you know, hopefully what we've discussed so far and what Rob's discussed, what I've discussed, it just shows how important this region is to UK education. The teams in the UK at the moment who deal with the student applications have reported a really successful few months and this latest surge, and they have brought in additional support and they brought that in ahead of the January surge, and we really hope to keep up that momentum during the summer months when demand increases further. They did send an update that the intake has now turned the corner and is reducing, which is really great, and to show that, you know, we've peaked and we're on the down now. So they've done such a fantastic job. Everything is within the service level standards as well. I think there have been a lot of customers where a team have written out for more information, who they're undertaking additional checks on, and they are due to be focusing efforts on those within the next week, just to ensure that they're being cleared as promptly as possible. But within this recent surge, they have been on top of things, and everything's fallen within standards, which hopefully means we're in a good position for the summer months ahead as well. I won't repeat what Rob said about the latest travel guidance, but I would just say that it's really fantastic and positive news that as of the 11th of February, we can try and embrace this new normal. I know within the UK at the moment, there is this new level of normal. There are face masks still if people want to, but it's not mandatory. And it just shows, you know, part of making of that new normal is easing travel restrictions. So vaccinated travellers can come through a lot easier. They don't have to have any testing. All they have to provide is their passenger locator forms. And although there are tests for unvaccinated passengers, they have reduced, so people just have to do a pre-test and a day 2 test, with no one being required to self-isolate. And again, they still have to do their passenger locator forms. So just opening up those borders that little bit more and just making travel a bit easier for people will hopefully really encourage people that, you know, come the summer months and come that student surge in the summer months, people will see that the UK is open. A lot of you may be aware of the visa delays at the moment, and I just wanted to touch upon that. Although I've already mentioned that the student processing has all fallen within their service standards, apart from those that have required extra information, there have been some delays with visit visas, and those delays are due to significant demand since the travel restrictions were lifted. And the teams have been incredibly working incredibly hard to process all of those visas. But I would just say that with any visa application, and this is with students as well, I'd recommend not booking any travel or hotels related to the stay just until that visa is processed. In terms of updates from myself and the wider team, we're currently working on some new routes that are opening up in 2022. So those routes are, just to mention a couple, so it's the global business mobility route, the scale up visa, high potential individuals, and more supply chain routes. So within the last year, a lot more routes have opened, and hopefully we're continuing to do that in the future as well. We'll also be doing a lot more work around the graduate route and working with Number 10 on their attracting global talent events as well. So it's looking like a really exciting year ahead for us, and we really hope to focus a bit more on the graduate route and look at, you know, some real success stories just to show what a fantastic opportunity it has been and will be for people as well. So although I am in the UK, I just want to say to you all that I am here. I'm ready for any questions that you might have. Like I said, I'll put my email and contact details in the box for you all to see, but please don't hesitate to get in touch, and hopefully we can have some real events within the very near future. Yeah, and that's all from me. Please don't hesitate to ask any questions at all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amy. Thank you, Rob. I think just really good, happy news all around. I just want to echo the fact that the brilliant kind of numbers that we've seen for the UK would not have been possible without your support and your help, you know, to all the agents here who have joined and those who even haven't been able to join. You know, thank you for the work that you've put in. Thank you for working with us like partners, and I hope we can continue to do that. I think that's the point of sessions like this, that, you know, we can sort of get into a room and just discuss what is important, what, you know, anything that we can do to support your work on the ground, and any kind of clarifications that we can provide that will make your job easier. You know, thank you for joining us, and thank you for all the work that you've done. I'm going to quickly jump to questions. Our questions for both Amy and Rob, so I'm just going to shoot them quickly. I'm not going to go into very detailed specific case questions because this won't be the right forum for that, but sort of generic questions around visas and the sectoral response, we'll definitely cover those. Amy, I think I'll start with you and Divya. Can we show dependent accounts for students, either if it is, okay, can we show dependent accounts for students even if it is not a joint account with, with the parent or with the person who's giving the money in that sense, but we show some documentation like a NOC, so a no objection certificate or a marriage certificate. Does that make sense?
Okay, I can come in here, Atre.
Yeah,
so, for student, the accounts is acceptable if it's in the student's name, so that's perfectly all right. You do not need to submit any kind of NOC if it's from the student's account itself, and it could be from the parent's account. It could also be from the spouse account if the spouse is already in UK or is applying at the same time as student. So those accounts are acceptable.
Perfect. Thank you, Divya. That answers that. Rob, I think I'll come to you for the next one. Can you please let me know whether an Indian student can take up part-time courses in the UK, or is it just full-time courses?
It depends on your visa status. So students can enroll for a part-time course as long as they are not on a student route visa. I think if a student has if a student is on a dependent visa, then they can enroll on a part-time course. So it depends on your visa status.
Right, that makes sense. Thank you. Okay, Divya, I think you'll need to come in on the next one. 18-year-old student, UG student, parents are not alive. Is it okay if the funds are in the student's name? Since he is 18, the uncle cannot legally adopt him. It's a very specific question, but I think you understand here. You're on mute.
Yeah, sorry for that. Okay, so if the student is already 18 years old and is already an adult, so he doesn't really need the authorization. Consent. So if it's in the student's account name, so that's perfectly acceptable.
Yeah, he's considered an adult, so it should be fine. Rob, this one's for you. What is the mode of studying currently for international students? Is it campus or online?
I think the vast majority of what we're delivering is on campus. It will vary by university. The guidance that we have from the government is that it wants, on campus and face-to-face delivery. What we're starting to learn, though, is that there are some aspects of what we've experienced over the last couple of years that maybe we've been forced into, but might be actually really quite useful. So, for example, some of our big lectures, which are very much about one-way information transmission, they might be easier done recorded for students to pick up under their own time, so that what we're doing then is making the most of our face-to-face time. So whether that's about practicals, seminars, tutorials, laboratory activity, that's the stuff that really makes a big difference, being face-to-face, being on campus, being hands-on. So even though we may be back to fully on campus, some of those aspects of kind of hybrid or online delivery might remain, because actually we think it's a really good way of students being able to learn under their own steam and in an environment they might be more comfortable with, like in a lecture that's recorded, but whilst everything else is online. So it will vary by university, but certainly for us, we're back fully online. But there are just some elements of that blended learning that will remain, because we think it's a really good opportunity from a learning experience.
Thank you, Rob. That makes sense. For a student visa application from within the UK, financial documents are not required if the student has been in the UK for 12 months. So do we calculate the 12 months period from the date of the visa granted or the date the student arrived in the UK? Again, a pretty technical one, Divya.
Okay, I think this is from Kolkata. So I already have this question in my mailbox and
There
I
you go.
forwarded it to the policy team already. I think this is from the date of arrival of student in UK, but I will wait for the policy team to revert back on this. So I have this mail in my inbox and I'll revert as soon as I have an update from the policy team. Sorry for that.
I think this is testament to how closely we work with agents. We can recognize them by the question. So yeah, I think just wait for your answer. Can a South Asian student, get a visa for 1 year English course? Yes. Rob, do you want to go?
Most of the English, yeah.
No, you go, Divya. You go.
Okay, I think most of the English courses are less than 12 months. They are 11 months. They're for 11 months. So, and also it depends on the university or the institute that they're offering the English course tenure for. So most of the English courses that I'm aware of, they are of 11 months.
Right. Okay. It would depend on the course. There are obviously many kinds of English courses, so I think it would depend on the course. I think this is in reference to some of the stats that Amy was mentioning. So how many Nepali students got the visa for 2021? I think what we can do is, I think it was 256% growth from last year is what I wrote down. Is that right, Amy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. 2,976 last year, but that was September 2020 to September 2021. So yeah, we might see different results come the next couple of weeks, but that was
Great. I think Divya, Amy will they always do a readout when the big stats come out, so that will reach all Asians. So just look out for that when that comes. Okay, if a student receives his student visa to pursue master's program with placement but is not able to get the placement, will they still be eligible for the graduate route if they complete their course successfully without the placement?
I'll pick that one up, actually. I think it will depend on how that program has been set up, because I think there are a number of these types of programs. We have them, and some of them are, the visa is the full duration of the program, and we make sure that happens. But some, I think that it might be an 18-month program, but then it reduces to a 12-month program if they can't secure that placement. So I think it depends on what the program setup is, and it depends on So I think ask the university, because they should be absolutely clear with you that says you study, and if you complete the placement, it's this, and if you don't do the placement, here's the other options. It should still be. I cannot see that being an issue, because as long as students are completing, let's say, the full 180 credits, they will get a master's qualification. So that should be seen as having completed the relevant qualification. But I know that those setups are sometimes can be different by university.
Rob, if I can have you for the next one as well. If a student has graduated from the UK and is intending to study again at a higher level, do they need to sit the Ielts or the English language test again? I think this is dictated by the university and the course.
Every university has its own approved English language policy. So, for example, our English language policy says that if you've completed a qualification at a degree level in the UK, then we will accept that. But some universities may have a time limit on that. So, for example, there may be as long as you've graduated in the last 2 years or 3 years. It will vary by university, but that would tend to be, I think, a fairly common position that yes, we would accept it, but it may be a time limit. So if you've done it 10 years ago and you've not been using your English since, we might just want to make sure that we're comfortable that you're still able to engage at that level.
Great, thank you, Rob. If a course is finishing in September 2023, by when should they start applying for the post-study work visa for the graduate route? Bring that to Amy or Divya.
Okay, so they need to apply for the graduate route before their student visa expires. So there's no specific timeline. Just make sure the graduate route is applied before the existing visa expires. That's the only condition.
Great. Okay. Is there any way to track the status of a student visa application?
Well, unfortunately, there isn't any way to track this. We publish timelines, which is 15 working days. So, and as Amy has already covered, most of the visas for the January intake has been processed within the service timeline. So, if you haven't received it and there is a genuine delay, you haven't heard back from UKVI for the additional requirement, probably they can share the details with me or Amy, and we'll try and see what's the update on it if it's been genuinely being delayed.
Yeah, and when there is a kind of a big delay, UKVI usually puts a communication out, so you will receive that if that happens. Is the graduate route applicable for students applying for September 2022 intake? Yes, I think I can answer that one. It's an easy one. Yes, they are applicable. What are the documents required for a dependent or spouse visa for a student? There they are,
Okay,
Amy.
the documents requirement is, of course, they need to evidence that they'll be able to support themselves financially. So the additional funds have to be shown. Again, it has to be either in the student's account or the spouse dependent account, or it would be the parent's account of the student as well. So those are the documents, and the passport and the TV certificate. That's the mandatory requirement for everyone who is going to UK for more than 6 months.
Okay. Then okay. So the next one is normally by what time? Okay, I think this is just it'll just be useful to maybe go through the timeline. So Rob, I'll ask you to come in first. By what time do UK universities make admission offers, and therefore when does one apply for the visa?
Thanks, Satri. I think it's unhelpful for me to say it will vary by university, but it will vary by university. Some universities will issue offers as quickly as they possibly can. Some universities may want to see how many applications they receive. It will also vary by program. So if it's a program with a very limited number of seats, so for example with us that might be something like our physiotherapy programs, where you have to get you have to go through a set of processes in order to secure that place, including interviewing and some clearance processes. We may wait to see how many we get in, but ordinarily universities would love to be processing things as quickly as possible. So in order, there's a question about how quickly do we process applications. The next question then is when would we release CAS? Now that will vary by university. We do have the policy now, the updated policy that allows us to release CAS, I think 6 months prior to the start of their program. And so some universities would do that. Some universities may want to hold on and issue CAS closer to the start date. The thing we're always careful about, the thing we're always mindful of is if there are delays, for example, between us checking and being comfortable with the student and their finances, issuing the CAS, if there's an extended delay in terms of then applying for the visa, because then that might create some challenges around the finances. So we will work with students to make sure that CAS issuance and then visa application takes place as quickly as possible. So depends on the program, depends on the university, but very much your universities will want to be moving things on as quickly as possible to make sure we can secure things as early as possible, because we know that the earlier students get all of their documentation sorted out, the CAS sorted out and the visa sorted out, the better place they are to arrive early. We want students to arrive before the start of their course so that they're with us for all of the really valuable induction activities, settling in before they then start their academic studies. So the sooner the better is always our advice.
Yeah, and once the CAS is sent through to the student, they are ready to apply for the visa basically. And now with the student route, you can apply 6 months prior. So there's enough time, hopefully. Okay, there are quite a few questions. I'm just going to pick the really important ones right now. There are a few questions on the list of financial institutions that we used to issue. I think UKVI used to issue this for India, but I don't think you do anymore, Divya. So what are the guidelines on that?
Yes, so the financial list Appendix P has been removed from quite some time now. So there are only 3 rules applicable to it, that the bank should be regulated by the regulatory authority of that country, and they should be maintaining digital records, and they should be able to verify the records if asked by the UKVI. So these are the 3 conditions. If the financial institutions are meeting all these 3 conditions, those institutions are acceptable.
Excellent. Thank you, Divya. Okay, just going to quickly go through these. Rob, this is a quick one, I think, for you. I'm a lawyer in Sri Lanka, completed attorney at law from the Sri Lankan Law College. Am I eligible to do LLM in the UK?
I would have thought so, yes, absolutely. So, yeah, it'd be good to see those applications coming in.
Yep, great. Okay, good. Is it compulsory that a student needs to be in India or in their home country to apply for a UK student visa?
Yes, so they have to be in their home country while applying for the student visa. During COVID times, there was the exemption given that they could apply from anywhere that they are. But now I think it's back to the previous one, and they need to be in their own home country for applying for a student.
Okay. I think I know the answer to this one, but I'm still going to ask. And there was a question on the placement and then eligibility of the PSW, but Rob has already answered that, so I'm not going to ask that again. Can students enrolled for a postgraduate diploma or a PG certificate course, which is obviously less than a year, do they qualify for the graduate route? Yeah, and there are also some courses like education, which are open for international students, which are not delivered on campus. So what would be the rules for those for diploma and certificate courses? They wouldn't apply, right, for the graduate route. Is that right, Divya? Or maybe I'm wrong?
Yes, so it has to be the undergraduate or a postgraduate degree course to apply for a graduate route.
Yeah. Yeah, I think sometimes you have those courses like the PG Dip or PG Certs, and sometimes they might be standalone. The way that you make up a master's is, you know, there's 3 60-credit blocks. The first block is a PG Cert, the second block a PG Dip, the final block gets you that master's qualification. Now there are some programs, as the poster has indicated, that are actually at the PG Cert or PG Dip level. You know, our PG Cert in education we call PGCE. That can be a year because actually there's a lot of placement activity in it. So it depends on the duration of the program. It depends on the setup of the program. So graduate route is about durations. We need to make sure it's a year. I'm not sure I can answer the piece about work dependent visas on that, but there may be some programs that are PG Dip or PG Cert that do qualify as a year, and so they might just play through in that way. So
okay, brilliant. No, Divya's just answered this. So there is no updated approved bank list, but there are guidelines on which banks can be used. So we're not going to answer that again. Is a student eligible to do a double master's after completion of a master and research programs? Rob, I wouldn't see why not.
Well, it depends. So we look at level 7 to level 7 progression. So let's say students come to the UK and has done a master's in project management and then decides that they want to do a master's in something else. We would look at that and really make an assessment depending on their intentions. If they've already got a master's from somewhere else and want to come to us for another master's again, we would look at that on its merits and make sure that there is demonstrable academic progression.
Yep, that makes sense. Just last couple of questions. We're down to the wire now. If a student has done their GCSE English as first language, then completed English AS level, do they need to do the IELTS? I think the university would decide that.
I think it depends on the level. So if it's for a program that's below degree level, then they would need the UKVI IELTS. Because that's not where a university can vouch. If it's degree level or above, then it would depend on the university's English language policy. Most policies would say that would be absolutely fine, as long as they've got the right rate.
Right. Okay. While applying for a visa, given the exchange rates, if there's a shortfall of 100 or 200 GBP, would that lead to a refusal, Divya?
Ideally, it shouldn't. So basically, we follow the website, which is oanda.com for the conversion rate. So just check this site before applying and make sure this, you at least maintain some more amount because it could vary while we are assessing the application. So make sure you have a few more thousand rupees at least to show in the bank account, so that even if there is a big variation, it should be okay at that time.
Okay, great. Yes, a student who's eligible for graduate route after UG will also be eligible for the graduate route after their PG. I think I could answer that. I'm just going to, I'm conscious there are quite a few questions coming in. So what we'll do is, I don't think we have the time to do this now. What we will do is we'll share an email after this. Yes, Debbie.
Sorry, can I come in here? So the post-study work, the graduate route would be, they'll get it only once. So if they have already availed the graduate route after their graduation, so there wouldn't be another graduate route after their post-graduation. So they can avail this only once.
Okay, but if they don't avail of the PSW after UG, then they can take it after PG. Okay.
Yes, it could be. So the idea is it could be only once. So if they have availed it after their graduation, it can
they don't come back and get it again. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Divya. Thanks for clarifying that. Okay, great. There are quite a few questions coming in. So what we'll do is, I think we're happy to share the presentation, Rob. Yeah, great. We'll do that, and we'll make a list of the questions that we haven't been able to answer, and I'll try and ensure that Divya, Rob, and Amy are able to just provide some quick input into those, and we'll share that with you later. I wanted to make a couple of quick announcements. We have the STEM and business subject fairs for India. This is only India specific on 11th and 12th February. So if you could please spread the word to your students, I think it'll be really, really helpful for them. We'll have 15 UK universities on both days to meet the students directly. So it'll be great to have your students attend this fair. We have another fair, which is a regional South Asia virtual fair. That's on the 19th of February, and that's for Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, and Sri Lanka. So all countries in the region except India. So please do spread the word on that as well. We're going to share both the links here as well as on email with you later. Thank you all for attending. Thank you for your questions. I think there are endless questions when it comes, they're still coming in, there are endless questions when it comes to visas. And about going to the UK, and we appreciate that you require that clarification, and we'll try our best to get those clarified for you after the event. And the events will continue. We will continue to do these briefings with you. We aim to do at least one every quarter. We might increase that frequency if there's a need for that. I think we appreciate that through the last 2 years, UK has been extremely open, extremely kind of flexible on its communication. I think the UKVI has been so brilliant with their communication, regular, effective communication right through the 2 years. I think BUILA has been brilliant as well, providing support, every kind of communication help and support that we could possibly need right through it. And I hope that has helped your work on the ground, and that has helped you in your in your work in advising students. We will continue to bring BUILA, UKI, UKVI, UKISA, everybody here, so that you can directly have access to them, and you can kind of ask them your questions and engage with them. So till the next one, thank you all for joining today. Thank you, Amy, Divya, Rob. Thank you for your time. It was great. It was really nice chatting with all of you. Thank you. Have a nice week, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.